Welcome to the saga of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. As we peel back the layers of this Hollywood onion, you might start wondering, who is actually telling the truth? Every good drama needs a mysterious figure working in the shadows, and in this case, that figure is allegedly Jed Wallace. Known in some circles as a Ray Donovan-style fixer, Wallace is a PR heavyweight whose name has recently been dragged into the spotlight via a truly shocking audio leak. In this leaked recording, a voice allegedly belonging to Wallace doesn't just talk about damage control. He talks about creating a path to destroy a person's reputation. The plan? To label a woman, Amanda Ghost, who was involved in a separate but tangentially related case, as an absolute madam, to ensure the smear really sticks. Now, you might be asking, what does this have to do with Blake and Justin? Here is the connection. The agency Wallace works for, the agency group TAG, has been representing Justin Baldoni, while the audio itself pertains to a case involving Rebel Wilson. If Baldoni's PR team is caught on tape discussing how to manufacture heavy evidence to ruin someone, does that mean they use the same tactics against Blake Lively? Lively's legal team is certainly hoping a judge will let them use this to prove that the smear campaign she claims to be suffering from was orchestrated by the very same people. Is a judge actually going to let unrelated audio into a courtroom, or is this just a distraction? In the world of law, not all victories are created equal. Recently, Blake Lively's team attempted to land a heavy blow by filing for sanctions against Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman. They claimed he made defamatory statements that were poisoning the well before the trial even started. The result? The judge essentially looked at the filing and said, "Nice try, but no." Judge Lyman denied the sanctions, noting that even if the statements were a bit spicy, Lively's team couldn't prove they actually hurt her case. According to legal experts, the judge's ruling was filled with legal shade. He didn't even bother to decide if the statements were protected by law. He simply ruled that they didn't matter enough to justify a punishment. This leaves Blake in a precarious position. If her attempts to silence Baldoni's legal team are failing, what does that say about the strength of her actual evidence? This brings us to a very curious strategy Blake's team is using, one that involves a lot of desperation and a very specific magazine. Have you noticed that every time something happens in this case, it's on the front page of People magazine within seconds? Legal analysts have pointed out a fascinating and suspicious pattern. Almost the exact moment a document is filed in the court docket by Lively's lawyers, a detailed article favoring her perspective pops up online. It's as if there's a direct pipeline between her PR team and the press. This is what's known as trying the case in the court of public opinion. While Justin Baldoni's team seems to be focusing on the legal filings, Blake's team is focusing on the narrative. They want the world to see her as the victim of a coordinated attack. While Lively's team claims she has been shunned and blackballed, which would entitle her to millions in damages, the paparazzi photos tell a different story. Just recently, she and husband Ryan Reynolds were spotted sharing very public, very happy moments at a soccer match. The big question for the jury will eventually be, how can you be ruined and suffering when you're living your best life on the global stage? If the suffering isn't real, does the lawsuit even have a leg to stand on? We are currently standing at the edge of a legal cliff. Both sides have filed massive motions that could end this whole thing before a single witness ever takes the stand. There are two major things to watch for. Motion for summary judgment. This is where the judge looks at all the evidence gathered so far. If the judge decides there's simply not enough there, he could throw the case out entirely. Judgment on the pleadings. This is even more technical. It's basically Baldoni's team saying that Blake's original complaint was so poorly written and legally weak that it shouldn't even be allowed to proceed. Blake's team is currently scrambling. They recently tried to introduce a completely different appeal case, Miller versus Lamanna, to convince the judge to keep their suit alive. What do you think? We've laid out the madams, the fixers, the shade-throwing judges, and the soccer match PR stunts. Now, it's your turn to be the jury. Do you think Blake Lively is truly the victim of a smear campaign, or is this a calculated move to protect her brand after a rocky movie release? And what about that audio? Should a PR firm's behavior in one case be used against their client in another?